Hey you, it's Jess here and welcome back to my channel. Today we are setting up my reading journal for March and I'm really excited for this one because I'm going to be doing my first Readathon, and this is Realmathon 4.0 by Covers with Cassidy. She's a YouTuber and I will link and tag the videos about Realmathon down below in her channel so you can check it out, and hopefully you can still sign up. I guess it's already going, but maybe I'll put up this video earlier than I planned to so you can sign up for Realmathon. But yeah, so I'm really excited. It's a team-based readathon and I've never done a readathon at all, so I'm excited to try it out. But I am using my Notebook Therapy A5 journal in the Suzan white, and I'm going to be using some stickers from Scribble Prints Co. This was a holiday freebie using art that I drew for her shop. This was a Cyber Monday mystery art, and I thought it was perfect because it goes with my team that I chose for the Realmathon, which was the Monarchs, and they obviously have butterflies as their logo. So Realmathon is you choose a house in this city that are warring each other. It's called Carrion City. And the Monarchs are the government, basically. And I kind of chose this team because of the bonus prompts that your team gets. So we'll go over the main things here that I'm putting on this page in a second. But yeah, all of this art that you see here was drawn by me and sold by Scribble Prints Co. And I love it so much. I love the way this set came out. It was like a Victorian-ish book set. And then from Thumbelina Prints, I'm using her monthly stickers that I'm just going to color in with some Tombos, and I'm going to use a black gel pen from Pentel, a Pentel Energel Cleaner, which I don't know if actually it writes very well in this planner, but I will live with it, and my writing's not the neatest, so I apologize. But I will also be using a Sakura, a marker that is brown. I can't remember right off the top of my head the name of it already. My brain's everywhere today. But that's what I'm going to be using throughout. Very simple. We're going to do this double spread with all of the prompts and points and a possible TBR, and I will go through my TBR in a second so you can steal the books if you want, because that is a prompt that you can get points for stealing from a TBR. But also if you want book ideas, you could get some from me if you want. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll tell you my books in a second. And then I'm going to do a second spread and set it up for the books that I actually put in. So I'm going to put in the star rating and the picture of the book. My printer doesn't have ink right now, but later on when I can, I will print off my book covers and stick them in, and then I have a space to put in either a review or maybe my prompts that I chose to fulfill it and give points. And I have room for a few of those. I think I was able to put 7 books in there, and we'll see how it goes with the rest of the month. I have been reading 5, 6, 7 books so far this month, each month. So I'm excited for that. Plenty of reading to do. But I should probably say that, what I'm putting down on this page is that I am Team the Monarchs, and our team, so each team has 2 bonus prompts that gives you extra points. So you get 10 points each for your team or take away from a team. So you can either make points for your team or you can take points away from other teams in this readathon. But our bonus prompts were a book with politics or a book in a made-up place. And I thought out of all the teams, those bonus prompts worked the best for my kind of reading. So that's why I chose the Monarchs. And then I'm just putting in that you get bonus points for the amount of book pages you have in your books. So if you read one gigantic fantasy brick, you can still get more points and kind of even it out if you do less reading than others during the month. So I really like how that keeps a bit more fair. And then I accidentally used the wrong Tombow for the lines in this section, but we're going to make up for it. And I'll bring in the darker pink lines elsewhere because I accidentally used it for the bonus Realmathon points. So there's overall points. So obviously the second one is the bonus team points that adds plus or minus 10. And then Cassidy chose her own prompt for the whole Realmathon, which is an urban setting, which gives you 10 extra points or takes away 10 points. So yeah, that's the bonus ones. And then you either have your book to be, you can choose up to 5 of the prompts to get points for each book, and your book can either gain points for your team or take away book points for your other team. I don't know why I'm explaining this all to you right now. You can watch a video, but I'm just saying I'm going to write down the prompts of the positives and then the negatives separately, so I can go over those more easily because they're in my planner. But she does have in my journal, but Cassidy does have a Google Doc up, so you can very easily get those. I'm just going to poorly write these in because why not? But yeah, a few of the positive ones are like a book that recommended more than once, that gives you 1 point. Then you have like more than one point of view, and that gives you 2 points. A morally grey character gives you 3 points. And a higher rating than the last book you read on Goodreads is 5 points. And there's also that any of the hosts in the Realmathon Readathon gave that book a 5 stars. So each team has two hosts, as well as then Cassidy on top. And yeah, so those will be linked in her video, all the hosts. I'm still very new to following BookTube, so I only follow Cassidy and one other person on the teams. So I'm definitely going to check out all the hosts during the Realmathon and check out their channels, which will be fun. And then on the negative ones, if you want to take points away from another team, you can like a 5-star prediction, an audiobook, a title that has alliteration, things like that. So, depending on the time in this video, I'm going to first go through my TBR for the Realmathon, in case you just want to quickly watch this video and steal it and then move on. But afterwards, I will go through the books that I did read in January and just go over what I gave those and what I thought. But yeah, let's have a look at my March Realmathon TBR. Some of these I kind of considered to put in here because of the prompts, and others I was just planning to read anyway, and hopefully they work. But first I have Talonsister by Jen Williams. This is a first book in her newest duology, which is like a fantasy world based on, I think, English Dark Ages, which is before the Middle Ages. And I'm really excited because I loved her Winnowing Flame trilogy that starts with the 9th Reign. I completely destroyed those books in 1 month, all 3 of them. They were so good. So I'm so excited to read more Jen Williams, and I actually have the Broken Binding special edition of that. So technically I could do that book for the negative prompts because I have special edition, which is -2 points, and physically owned, which is -1. So possibly I could use that for taking points from someone else, but I think I prefer just to add points to my team, so I don't know. Then I have an audiobook, which is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This has been on my list, and I wanted to read it in January, but I just didn't get around to it. So I've pushed it to March, not January, February. And I'm going to go through my February reads, not my January ones. I apologize if I said that wrong. But I want to read The Will of the Many by James Islington because it's on my list. I also have his previous trilogy, but I'm going to read Will of the Many first and see how I feel. Just because it is the newer book. Then I have this one I chose, and later on in this journaling, you'll see that I start looking at my spreadsheet of the books that I own, and this is the one that I found. I needed to look up the author of this book, but it's called Countess by Suzan Palumbo, and I think this is a novella. I'm pretty sure, or a short story. It's a short book, but it's called Countess. And if you look at the positive prompts, one of them is the title with a title, and what she means by that is like, king, queen, countess. So that would give you 4 points, and then I think there was another one. I'm not sure, but that's 4 points, which I think is pretty good. There's a bunch of these. It could be a fast-paced read because it's a shorter book too. I wonder if she's a countess and the character, I don't know, maybe it's a wealthy character. And also, it's a book that's been recommended to me more than once, which my partner's told me multiple times to read this book. So, and it's also new to my TBR. So, I think that would be fun. So, that's Countess. And then I just finished The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. I really want to continue on with it. I was able to get the second book, as well as the book of novellas. Or short stories that go with it, and they're supposed to be read between book 1 and book 2. So I have Missing Pages by Mark Lawrence, which I'm just going to count as one book because it's like a collection of short stories, but I just want to read that anyway. And then I have as an audiobook The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I read Broken Earth Trilogy 2023 and I adore it. One of my favorite books of all time. I love that trilogy. And I know The City That We Became is really, really different, but I'm pretty sure it's like set in like a New York urban kind of prompt. So I thought maybe this would work for the urban setting. Obviously it doesn't work for my team with a book in a made up place, but because I think it's New York City. But I really wanted to finally get to The City We Became, and it's also on my 25 books to read in 2025. So is The Will of the Many, and so is Talonsister. So I'm trying to get through my 25 books as well. So we have that one. And then we have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. And I think, one of the points in the positive prompts is the in the title, but not the first word. So Gideon the Ninth would work. Also, is that a title like Gideon the Ninth is like a queen, king kind of title? I don't know. Maybe in the world it is. I don't know. We'll see. But this has been on my TBR for a while. It's also my 25 in 2025. So I decided to put it on here. It looks possibly urban. I'm not sure. So get in the ninth on there. And then we own that on ebook and audiobook because my partner is dumb. No, they're not dumb. It's just sometimes they didn't know what they owned back when they were buying books. So yeah, I can read that either way. I like to read physical, ebook, and audiobook, but I usually read an audiobook while I work during the day and then a book, either physical or ebook, at night when I'm going to bed. And then one of the books I definitely want to read during the Readathon, during the month, there is one weekend. It's called the Gala of Peace, and you have extra points for how many books you read during that 48 hours. So I know a lot of people are keeping short books for that. So one of my first books for that is Exit Strategy by Martha Wells, and this is the 4th book in the Murderbot Diaries series, and they are novellas, so they're pretty quick reads. So I will read one of those that weekend, and maybe I'm able to read another one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'll be reading then, but definitely a Murderbot because I'm loving reading them at the moment. And then finally on my TBR, but I have room for more. This is my current guesses and see how much I'm able to actually physically read during March. But my other one is an audiobook, Godkiller by Hannah Kana. Anyway, I was pulled into this because the covers for these books are beautiful, and I know in March actually does the 3rd book come out. Let me have a look. I have an anticipated reads in front of me in my journal somewhere. Yes, Faith Breaker, I think, is the 3rd book in this trilogy. It releases in March, but I haven't read any of them. I do have the first 2 books on Audible because there was like buy one get one free, and both Godkiller and what's the next one, Sunbringer, were both included in that sale. So I was like, I'll just get both of them. I'm not sure I'm going to love them or not, but the covers are really cool, and Godkiller is a really cool name. So yeah, that's the last thing on my March TBR. We'll see what else, if I pull for anything else, if I'm able to read all of those. But those are my current TBR ideas, and I will have them written in the description down below if you just want to look up. Well, you couldn't understand me. I understand. So I struggle to speak, so apologies. But yeah, they'll be listed down below, and I'm excited to read a bunch of these. And if Talonsister is really good, I also have the second book in the duology Titan Child, so I might just go right into that as well. Well, because the last time I read Jen Williams, I read all 3 in a row in like 3 weeks. So yeah, I really enjoyed those. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, so you could see I've just been writing out all the prompts by hand, which is a lot, but it's been fun, and I'm going to try and fit some more of this art that I drew in there. And if you like my art, I do actually sell it as digital files. Not this set particularly, because this is a custom commission just for Scribble Prints Co. But if you're interested in my art, it's also linked in the description below. It's kidnishgirl.net. I don't always talk about that, but I guess I probably should sometimes. That I draw clip art that you can download and print and sell whatever you like. But now I'm going to quickly go through with the rest of this video and go through my February reads, which I did a little bit in my video last time, but let's just go over everything again. First, I have Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, and I gave it 5 stars. If you like Mistborn, you will probably like Foundryside. It's a little bit more adult, and I think everyone is an adult in this book rather than Vin is a teenager, really. I feel like she's a young adult. Foundryside is a lot more adult in language, but it's really, really good. It has that same vibes of Mistborn. It's sort of like the dirty urban city with like the rich people, and they're like separated physically and everything else from the slums of the city. And our main character, please excuse me, I can barely remember character names, although I remember whole books. But we have a female main character who is a young thief, and we sort of like join her on her thieving at the beginning, but you sort of do a found family of, well, I don't know if they a family. Do they really, any of them like each other? A found family kind of thing, a building of a heist, some thieving, a really cool magic system based on scribing, like specific sigils using melted metal into objects, which changes the object's idea or experience of reality. So the first example you get in the book is that they've written on these carriage wheels to believe that they're always going downhill. So they just automatically drive themselves, even if they're on a flat surface. They believe they're going downhill. So that's a really cool magic system with lots of different things that you can do in it. And I gave that 4 stars. I really enjoyed Foundryside. I'm just using, in my video here, I'm just using some printed off covers just to get the right sizing. But right now I don't have ink, so I can't do any of my current books and put them in yet. Then I read Faebound by Saara El-Arifi. Saara El-Arifi. Sorry, I'm looking at my printed book cover in my journal. And I am very, very sad to say that I gave this 2 stars out of 5. This was my attempt at reading a romantasy for the first time. Maybe it wasn't the best choice, but I really like Samantha Shannon in the Orange of the Priory Tree and her Roots of Chaos series. And at the end of A Day of Fallen Night, there's a big interview that she does with Saara. So I really wanted to try her out because she seemed really nice, and I want to support, more Black and POC authors. So I wanted to try out Faebound. It also has a really cool cover. I feel like it's a really much cooler design than a lot of other romantasy books out there. I'm not a huge fan of that formula, I guess, but it just wasn't for me. I didn't love a lot of parts about it, and especially the audiobook. If you're going to try it out, do not get the audiobook, please. It is so bad. I'm pretty sure at one point a character begins as having a Scottish accent, and by the end they don't have that accent anymore. They have an English accent, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I feel kind of gaslit about it because I'm like, I'm pretty sure she had a really over-the-top, ridiculous, fake Scottish accent. Now she doesn't. It was very weird. And just the way the audiobook narrator pronounces the main character's name is really hard to get through. I've ranted about this elsewhere, but her name is like Yeeran, and the narrator says urine instead of Yiran. It's a hard name, I feel like. But I felt like everyone was like, they were all supposed to be almost in their 30s, and they're supposed to be like, the main character is supposed to be a colonel, but everyone's so immature. We never really get to talk about war tactics or anything to do with being a colonel. It doesn't matter that she was a colonel, honestly. And I don't know. And it was weird because it kept repeating how the three races that are in the book, elf, fae, and human, the mythology is that each race was given a specific kind of magic just for them. But then I feel like all the characters were doing each other's magic, like the fae and the elves were doing each other's magic, and it didn't really matter. I don't know, it was kind of confusing. Overall, I felt it just wasn't for me, this book. Then I read Mark Lawrence's The Book That Wouldn't Burn, and I bought this as a paperback physical when I was in London, and I gave it 4 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. A really unique fantasy. We have 2 point of view characters, and we have this beautiful, big, magical library. Not maybe beautiful, but also kind of scary, kind of like crazy. Like, it's a huge library. Who knows how big it is? There's all these chambers. Some of them are locked. Some of them you can get into. A lot of them you get lost in. You can get hurt. And then one of our point of view characters lives in the library in a locked chamber that they can't get out of. And then the other point of view character, she starts off like outside of the city in the dust, and just terrible things happen to her, and she ends up journeying to the city that has the library in it. So kind of like outside the library and inside the library. And the way it comes together is really, really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. Super unique. So I highly recommend that. I don't want to do any other spoilers for this book, but it's all about books and libraries, and also these connections of characters through books and also through time. I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to reading the rest. As I said, I'm going to try and read the books, the novellas of before I read the second book. Then I read Rogue Protocol by Martha Wells, which was one, I think, the third Motorbot books. My partner already had the first 2 on ebook, and they're just so expensive, honestly, to buy all 7 of them. So I had to buy 5 more of them, and it was like $60 altogether. So I just hadn't for a long time. But I finally picked them up for Christmas because I had some Christmas money, and I gave it 4 stars. I love Murderbot. So excited to continue reading about this little... They're like they are a sort of cyborg robot, so they have human parts, and their job is to do security and basically be a Murderbot. But they would much prefer to be in their own world, watching their soap operas Sanctuary Moon. And yeah, really, really good. Then I also read, I'm running out of time, I'm sorry. I also read A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers, which is the second of the Wayfarers account. Here's my spreadsheet of my books, by the way. This is the second book in the Wayfarers series. There's 4 books, and Becky Chambers is just so good. This is my 3rd book of hers this year, and I just loved it. 5 stars. It focused on 2 different characters than the main group that we had in the first book, and I really enjoyed this like in-depth look at both of these characters, and it was very much about childhood to adulthood, motherhood, capitalism, just sci-fi stuff. It was really good. Becky Chambers is like cozy sci-fi, but things happen and things matter, which I feel like a lot of cozy books don't have that, to be honest. Not that I've found, but loved it. And then finally, I've also read Moon of the Crusted Snow by Waubgeshig Rice, who is a First Nations writer. And this is like a sci-fi dystopia horror set in a First Nations village or town in the middle of nowhere in northern Ontario. The winters come in and they've had a complete blackout. They've lost all connection, phone lines, internet, power, everything's gone. And they have to sort of survive this coming winter as without power and things. And basically things go badly. But it was a really, really good book, and I really loved a lot of the slow, detailed parts of just First Nation life and just really reading that point of view. And I very much had my Pocahontas moment of the white men are dangerous, because we do experience some dangerous white men in the story, and I was very much like, ugh, I hate them. Anyway, I was like, these white men are dangerous. But it was a very good book, and the second book came out last year, and I believe it was on the Goodreads sci-fi list, I'm pretty sure, of the book awards. Didn't win, of course, but I feel like it got a few good awards. So finally picked this up and read it so we can read the second book. My partner had bought it years ago, like when it came out. I don't know if that was years ago, but my partner already owned it, so we finally read it so we could read the second one. But highly recommend that, especially as a really interesting in-depth look at First Nation life in northern Canada. But also it was just it was very wintry, very thriller, very good. But that is my reading journal setup and everything that I read in Feb and everything I'm hoping to read in March for the Realmathon, Readathon. Definitely check out the links below, and definitely check out Covers with Cassidy as well. She has a great channel. Even though I don't really read the books that she reads, I still really enjoy watching her channel. But otherwise, I hope you like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!